On today's episode of Heavy Metal Cooking, episode number 3, we are making pizza. Okay, so let's get started. What you're going to do is use 1 pack of yeast and you're going to add just a tiny bit of warm water, not too much. And then you put that in there. Okay. When it starts to kind of like bubble up, so right now you see on the sides it's starting to bubble up, then it's ready. So we then will use how much. So a lot of people use a measuring cup, but I don't. What is that in there? Okay, so what I do is I just pour in, we're going to use about 2 cups, 2.5 cups, like this. So that's about 2, and you could measure it with a measuring cup if you want. If you don't have a measuring cup, you can always just use a regular cup. This should be about 1 cup. Okay. Then, as you can see this here, this is getting closer. It starts to kind of bubble up like that. And then we're going to add some salt. And I always use Himalayan salt. I once took salt and mixed it with the sugar by accident. How much salt? Just a pinch. That way you can see how much you're adding. Now, some people add pepper or some other ingredient, but we're not going to. So we're only going to use 3 ingredients to make this. Okay. If you want to speed this process up, you can mix it around a little bit. As you see, it's starting to get foamy. So someone was asking me, I'll go ahead and tell a little story while I'm doing this. Someone was asking me today if I ever get lonely. Someone else asked me, could I please tell more about myself while I'm doing these heavy metal cooking videos. When did I learn to start cooking, and how did I learn to do this? So I started when I was 5 years old, and I actually appeared to help my mother who wanted to do other things. Okay, what we're going to be doing here is we're just going to be mixing. Now I added water. It was actually a lot of water. You want to get all of the yeast out. So we have yeast, flour, and salt. That's all you need to make pizza dough. So what you're going to want to do is stir it around like this. You can use a spoon, but if you use your hand, it will stick to your hand. So if you're using a spoon, you could just do this to get it off. So someone asked if I'm lonely ever get lonely. I think I don't get lonely because I like doing what I'm doing. Now, when you're doing this, always add cold water or room temperature water. Okay, so you want to mix the ingredients like this. Someone also asked me on YouTube, how many times have I made pizza? I have made pizza more than 10,000 times, which seems kind of crazy, but because I'm old, I have made pizza a lot. So you pour a little water in, not too much, and you keep stirring it around. Don't add too much water because it's not good to do it that way. Okay. Gonna add a little more water. So you should add probably a total of a 1/2 cup of water. And it'll start looking like this. and it starts to get into a condition that looks like dough. And it shouldn't be too dry, so if it's a little bit wet, that's okay, but only add a little bit of water each time. Now, YouTube's telling me that a lot of people, they swipe and they stop watching my videos after 30 seconds, so if you'll please watch my video for longer than 30 seconds, that would be great. So you can see it's starting to clump up a little bit. I always add one more little bit of water. And if you just roll your hands like this, it just cleans them off. Please clean your hands before, but it really doesn't matter because the pizza will be cooked at such a high temperature. When I worked in a restaurant, I noticed that the ovens were from Italy. And the ovens usually in a pizza restaurant should be around 600 to 900 degrees. So anything that you have on your hands or that's in the dough will cook away, but you really want to make sure that your hands are clean. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach over. I'm just going to lightly put some on the top there, and then you're going to start pushing down with your fist. Do the Obama fist punch. That's the only time I do the Obama fist punch. Now it looks a little bit dry. I always like to have it a bit wetter, so you could just add a tiny bit of water, and you keep turning it like this. At this point, when you use your hand, it doesn't really stick to your hand as much, so you could just fold over, push down. Now if it starts sticking like this, you can just add a little bit of flour to your hands and then rub your hands together and you won't waste any. Okay, so we're going to be doing 666. What is 666? It is, we're going to be working with the dough for 6 minutes. Then we're going to let it rest for 6 minutes. And it should then, after 6 minutes, it should be ready to start working the dough again. And what I like to do is I like to flatten it out like this so that you can fold it over like this. And you keep pushing down and folding over. And you'll notice that it actually pushes back. So see how it, when you push it, it's very doughy, you could say. Okay, hopefully you're all still with me. Okay, so you keep folding it. Now I usually fold it over about 100 times, but we're almost to the 6 minute mark. And see how it's actually a little bit too dry, so you could put just some water on your hands. Just dip your fingers into the water, and I like to make it this way, fold it flat so I can fold it over like this. And this will make a lot of pizzas. This should take usually only about 2 hours total to make the whole pizza, but it's the dough that you want to sit in the refrigerator. Now sometimes I leave it in the refrigerator, and then when I want to use it, I'll then I'll use it every day, and then I'll pull a little bit out and then add more water and more flour, and it will make more dough. But you can see, look at that. See? Okay, so we're at the 6 minute mark, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off. Now, something I learned is don't use any oil or anything. Just put a little bit of flour there, and you want to make it into a little ball like this. Anyone can make this at home, and I have made pizza over 10,000 times since I was 5 years old. And the answer to the YouTube chat question, do I ever get lonely? No, I don't get lonely. I get sometimes melancholy. There. Now that dough is a little bit dry. So I'm going to just do one more thing here. It should be a lot, if it's too dry, it's not going to work out. So if it's not, if it's too dry, you want to just put a little water on your hands like this, and then you just fold it over. There you go. So it should be kind of sticky, and it wasn't sticky. So if you ever make a mistake, just add a little bit of water, tap, 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 fold it over. And I like to do it this way, where I just do it in my hands, and I fold it, and I keep folding it. Now, I'll fold it up to 100 times while I'm working with it. So we're at the 6-minute mark. We're actually at the 9-minute mark. And what we're going to do is we're now going to let it sit. Now, when you let it sit, you can't just leave it out. So you have to cover it with we're going to use a red towel, and you'll want to wet the towel completely. So you'll want to wet the towel so it has some moisture on it. This towel is not completely wet. Then, here, let's get it completely wet. You want to wet the towel, and then you're going to just put it over, and you're going to let it sit for 6 minutes. So I'll see you back in 6 minutes. Okay, so it's been 6 minutes. We're gonna take a look at it. Wow, okay. So as you can see, it looks a lot different now. And it's, if you push on it, look at this, if you push on it, it pushes back. So what I like to do is I like to clear the area I'm working in. Okay, if you're about to swipe, I'm going to ask you, please don't swipe and don't go to another video, because although I'm going slow for a reason. I want you to learn how to make pizza on your own at home, because it's fun. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to clear the board and put out some flour. Make sure your area is clean. You're gonna just take it out like this, roll it out, and put it down. Wow, look at that. Okay, so it's been 6 minutes. We worked it for 6 minutes, and if you want to save on cleanup time, it's best to clean this out here. Okay, and we are ready. So be gentle with it, because why? I don't know. So I told you before, what I like to do is I like to work it about, I fold it over about 100 times. Why would I fold it over 100 times? I have no idea. Okay, so you keep doing this. Now I'm adding flour in between the layers, but you don't have to. I like to do that just for different reasons. Okay, so what you're going to do is keep folding it over and then pushing it from the center out like this, and you can see that it's very thick. So I'm getting a lot of questions in the chat about different types of pizza. So the dough is not any different when you make different pizza. So if you want to make Chicago style pizza or thick pizza, what you're going to do is you're going to, when we use it, and we'll be using a lot. It's thicker for Chicago style, and then other styles of pizza, it is not as thick. And I'm going to show you my way to make pizza bread, because I like it really, really, really thin. Okay, so we're going to just keep folding it over and pushing it out. Now you're not going to be adding any more water, and you can see how stretchy it is. Look at that. This is actually perfect. And I usually use the heel of my hand, which is the palm of your hand. I keep pressing it outward like this, and then folding it over. Now, the best pizza I've ever made was 12-day-old pizza bread. You can keep this in your refrigerator and it'll keep rising, and you can keep working it. You should work it every day and it'll start to create bubbles. But look at that. So at the bottom, you always want to close it up, and there it is. Okay, you could actually make pizza with this right now. Let me smell. Can you smell? Tap your phone 3 times and say boogala boogala boogala. You'll be able to smell it through your phone. Okay, so we're all ready. This would be bread. If you just cooked it like this, you could cook it and it would be, actually bake it, it would be bread. But what we're going to do is we're going to do something special here. We're going to put it aside. Right now, we're going to put it aside. Make sure when you make it into a ball that you close the bottom of it, and then bring it to the center here. You keep turning it. As you're turning around, you're pushing with your hand to the bottom. And the bottom, see how the bottom's closed? It shouldn't have a hole in it. It should be just like that. Okay, so this is now going to sit. We don't need it to sit for too long because we've done 666. What is that? 6 minutes working it, 6 minutes letting it sit, and then 6 minutes working it again. But there's a final 6 where we put it over there. Okay, quickly, I'm going to clean this up. All this flour can be just kept to the side. And if you rub it like this, you'll get it to come off. There's really no trick to getting flour off of a board. And I'm just using the counter, which is good. I'm actually in an Airbnb, and I'm just going to put it there. Okay, take a sip of some coffee. Making pizza can be very relaxing. I love making pizza because it's relaxing. Okay, so these are the ingredients that I'm going to use. You can use anything in your refrigerator, and I'm not a vegetarian, but tonight we're going to use only vegetables. What we have here is we have thyme, we have garlic, we have mushrooms, tomatoes, a red bell pepper, onion, and we're going to use just these ingredients here. We're also going to be using a tomato sauce, and you could use any kind of tomato sauce. I really don't want to show you the label, so I'll go like this. Any tomato sauce is good. Oh, I showed you the label. Okay, and then we're going to be using, this is actually not very good cheese, but I want to get rid of it. This is a liquid cheese. Then we're going to use a pizza topper cheese. You can buy any kind of cheese that you want. As long as it's mozzarella, you can use a Mexican blend, but any kind of cheese, and you don't need a whole lot. A lot of people think there's a lot of cheese on pizza, but there actually isn't. Okay, the next thing I use is a Italian seasoning, which I always use Italian seasoning. Now, pizzas always have pepper on them, so we're going to go ahead and use pepper as well. All right, so let's start by preparing all these ingredients. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, don't cut on your counter, as my mother used to say, don't cut on the counter. But you can wash these or not wash them. I usually wash them, but I'm not going to during this video. Now, why would I not wash them? Because it really doesn't matter. One of the things that I really like to show people is a lot of people do this and they'll cut the top off. We're not going to be cutting the top off. if you cut around the center here, the seeds will all come out together. Look at this. See? Dun, da, da, dun, da, da, da. Seeds come out. And if you want to do this at the end, there you go. You throw those over there. Okay. You'll cut down this way. This piece right here, you'll want to just cut at an angle, and it removes this white. The white area is not very good, but I always eat it while I'm cooking. Okay. We don't need a whole lot. What we're going to do, grab a plate. You could do all this prep ahead of time. Okay, let's put this right here. Okay, you could prep everything beforehand. Give myself a little more room here. You could prep everything beforehand. You'll want to cut slices this way. Now, some people like slices like this. Some people slice them and then they'll pre-cook everything. I sometimes pre-cook it if I'm in a hurry and I don't want the pizza to cook too long. But what I do is, when you buy a frozen pizza, we're going to be cutting them so that they, this is simulating a frozen pizza. They usually cut them like this. And if you just line them up, cut them this way. Now if you miss a couple, don't worry. Excuse me. You can always come back and cut them. Some people like them really, really small. If you're making this for kids, you could certainly cut them smaller, but I'm not going to because they shrink when you cook them as well. And that's all you'll need for one pizza. Next thing we're going to do, if I'm in a big hurry, I'll just squeeze these and squish them. Or sometimes people like to cut them in slices. Now, some people take off the stem, but I actually like the stem, and what I do is I usually cut them up into little squares. This is actually too much for two. I'm going to always make 2 pizzas in case you have a friend over, or if you want to make an extra one, you could always just keep it in the refrigerator. There's nothing better than eating pizza that's in the refrigerator the next day. And you can always heat it up, but I like it cold. Okay, so you're going to place everything on this plate. Now this should go really quickly. Hey, move that away. And we're going to be showing you how to cut the onion. You cut both sides off. Now all this we're going to be saving. This will be saved and then put in the freezer and saved for soup, if you're making soup. Okay, boy, that coffee's good. Okay, so you cut it in half, and then you just pull one side. You can pull 2 layers off first, and then you'll just take the skin off that way. Okay, it gets kind of slippery, so watch out. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut down and then hold the pieces on. I had to watch Valerie Bertinelli do this a bunch of times, and where she said Sammy Hagar showed her, where you cut halfway and then you cut it. But when you do that, that allows you to, oh, see how it slipped? What it allows you to do is to have it so that it keeps it held together. But I just hold it like this. This is actually, the knife is not too sharp. So we're going to go ahead and just show you how to sharpen a knife. Okay, when you're sharpening your knife, do not use a knife sharpener. This is how my mom always did it. You're going to go at an angle and pull away, watching your hand. And it only needs a couple of swings on the other knife. And then, wow, okay, that's really sharp. So that probably would have been better if I had started with a sharp knife. And if you miss a couple, it's okay. In restaurants, they actually cut almost all the way through, 75% through, and then they don't get these pieces and do it this way. But we're not in that much of a hurry. Cooking is a very relaxing thing. You should feel very comfortable when you're cooking. You shouldn't feel rushed or nervous in any way. Okay, we're almost done. Garlic, you'll wonder, how do you cut garlic if it has the skin on? You could peel it, but we're not going to. You're just going to push down, and when you push down, it allows the skin to peel right off. See? Like that. You just throw it over there. Okay. Oh, some of the garlic went over there. Okay, if you're watching this on Facebook, thank you for watching. Please go to my YouTube. I'm not going to mention where my channel is, but please go and subscribe. I really need subscribers, but if you don't, that's okay too. One of the things that you are seeing me do is cutting straight down. So I'm cutting straight down, but what you want to do is put this edge of the knife on the board and then push down. So it's like this. Like that. Perfect. Okay, sometimes people like garlic a little bit chunky, and it doesn't matter when you put it on the plate where it goes, because everything's going to be on there. If I have a piece, I always just kind of use it and cut it. Now you see people do this on TV shows. It's really dangerous, so don't do that. Always keep your tip of the knife on the board and then just go down with your hand on the top. It's much easier and safer. Okay. Wow, I'm getting a lot of people asking questions in the chat. Everyone wants to know why I don't get lonely, and that is, I have never really been lonely. And someone asked me why I talked earlier about being melancholy, or someone asked me about being melancholy. They wanted to know, what does the English word melancholy mean? And because they know I have a degree in art and music, but also psychology, they asked me if I could tell them what it means. They're taking a test for university here in Asia, and I said, well, actually melancholy is a form of sadness when you don't know why you're sad. Usually when you're sad, you know why. When you don't know, you become melancholy, and it's usually when you have people, because I'm so old that I have many friends that have passed away. One of them is named Eddie, and I'm still feeling sad for Eddie dying. He was someone that inspired me every day, and someone who I miss very much. And yes, I did know him personally. I lived at his house for 3 days while I was helping his wife, Valerie. And I really do miss him a lot. If you have this happen where you cut the top off, so we're going to cut around that, which we can, but don't really do this at home. You cut in, you hold the knife like this, then you turn the fruit or whatever you're cutting, and then you'll notice it just pops out. But you're not going to poke in like that. Now these are for the top of the pizza, so we want them really, really thin, about that thin. And this is one of the things at Street Zella in Washington State. This was in, where was that? I forgot where it was, but one time they left me at the restaurant and I had to be the guest host, the server, the server, and the cook. And they didn't make baby pizzas, but I did. I went and made custom pizzas. They said, don't ever make mini pizzas. One thing is, when you get to this side and you go, what do I do with my fingers? So what do you do with your fingers here? You're going to just turn it around this way. And usually this piece, I just eat. That tastes so sweet. Okay. keep going. Now it couldn't be so thin like that because you want it to really cook on the pizza. I could hear people upstairs, they're listening to me. Okay, this video is becoming too long, so I want to speed up the process just a little bit. Now if you ever think, oh, I can't have my fingers that close, you can always just place your hand on top and cut sideways. I'd like to do a shout out to Johnny Fender in Austin, and Jeannie, and Stacy, and Mr. Nash, and Todd, all my Facebook friends. Okay, so this is time. Yep, time. And what you're going to do is you're going to pull it reverse. So we're going to pull it this way, and it just comes right off. We're going to put that here. So you pull it this way. I will be playing, I'm hearing sirens, I will be playing music 5 nights a week in Asia. And I'll be streaming live. That's why I'm back on Facebook now. So anyone who wants to see me can see me 5 nights a week on Facebook. Okay, so now that we're done, we have the entire plate. We have, here, let's get the light here. We have tomatoes, garlic, onions, mushrooms, thyme, and then these peppers. Okay, so we're ready to go. I'm going to actually do this live. I'm not going to rewind or anything. Just going to put this over here. Uh-oh. Okay. I think I first saw this when I was about 5 years old on Julia Child, her show. And I used to watch it on PBS, KQED, Channel 9 in San Francisco. Okay, so I'm going to put this over here. And it's really good to see this because it's more like a TV show. And what we're going to do, if you want to make Chicago-style pizza, you can use a pan like this. And what this is like a cake pan, and then you'll want to put the dough, fill it to about maybe just 1/4 of the way, but I actually don't like that kind of pizza. So what I'm going to do is grab something real quick. Okay. So what I have here is I have a very thin pan, and we're going to be making a special pizza that I'm the only one who makes it. I don't think anyone else makes this pizza. Okay, that goes there. All right, so put everything aside. Now we have the dough. Let's grab the dough. There we go. Look at this. Wow, it's so soft. Look how soft it is. Oh, that's like the doughboy. Look at that. So this is now we're not going to knead it all. So we're only going to use, okay. All right. Okay, edit. Okay, so what I didn't show you is we're going to be using pepper. Pepper is really important on the pizza. Now to make this pizza, we're going to be making it this long, which is about 1 arm's length long. And what we're going to do is you're only going to use a tiny bit of this, because we're going to use this much here. This will go in the refrigerator later. You could already see it's puffing up. Now normally you want this to be in the refrigerator for at least 1 to 3 days. Okay, that's good. Okay, so this is my trick. Nobody else does this. We're going to go like this. We're going to make these long tubes like this. Is that good? Yeah. These are a little smaller than I usually make because I'm the only one eating them. If you want to eat it through your phone, that's going to be kind of hard. But okay. And then you do the next one like this. And nobody else does this. I don't know why. I've never even seen it. I've worked in over 300 restaurants, only as a dishwasher though. You're gonna wanna make sure they're about the same size, and watch how I do this. Okay, you're gonna need to move this stuff over again. You really don't need anything to do it. We're gonna take this pan here. Let's see if it fits. Yep. We're gonna take a tiny bit of oil, olive oil preferred. Only add a little bit and then swish it over. Okay, so you need 2 lines right here. Don't put any on the sides because it will burn. Wash your hands because you don't want any oil on your hands. It will not allow you to work with the dough. Okay, just gonna wipe my hands. Okay, here we go. This is gonna go really, really quickly, guys. So what you do is you push from the center out. So you push like this, and this is how I make my best pizza. You push like this. Oh, I just got a question in the chat. Why am I cooking if I play music? Why am I making pizza if I'm a musician? Well, when you're older, you'll realize that people need to eat good food, and this is the food that I show my chef when I'm on tour how to cook. So actually, this is food that my chef would be making for me, and I then don't make it at all. Okay, so you're gonna see how, can you see how thin that is? It's really, really thin. So this thing here, this tube became the pizza. Okay, when they make pizza bread, they roll it, and you never want to roll when you're making pizza. It actually will not allow for a good pizza to come out. And you just push it like this. If you want, you could push it around the ends, around the corners to make the edge, but I actually don't need the edge. That's only in restaurants. Okay, and if there's a hole, if you get a little hole, you just press around it and then it fixes it. Okay, so let's go a little bit quicker here. When you're working in a restaurant, they pressure you to do this very quickly. And one of the pizza guys had to make at least 1,000 pizzas like this. It's a very popular restaurant in Bellevue, Washington. And I won't mention the name of the restaurant. Now, if it gets sticky, you could always just push some more oil there. Okay, so we're almost ready to go. This is becoming a very long video. Hopefully you're still with me. Okay, so the first thing we do is we take the Italian seasoning, which I love Italian seasoning. This is actually an Asian version of Italian seasoning, and it's a mixture. Okay, the next thing you do is you're gonna lay out just a tiny bit, just a little bit of sauce in the middle, like this. And since I've been 5, I do it this way. You could use a spoon, but I think it tastes better when you use your hand. You just push it around. Make sure it doesn't go to the edge because it'll just burn right off. Okay, so we're going to go quickly here. At this point, you could turn on your oven. You want to turn on your oven. We're in Celsius here because I'm in Asia, and I have an oven outside, and you want to cook it as high as it'll go, 500. Okay. Now, sometimes people say, will you please add extra? So when I look at it, I could see it's just going to burn off. So I like to add a little bit. Ooh, that tastes good. In Asia, the sauce tastes sweet. Tastes a little bit sugary. So you want to make sure it pulls up a little bit like this. And if there's not enough, there will be none at the end when you're finished. Okay, I hope everyone's there with me. Okay, who else should I thank? Should make a shout out to a couple people. Okay, I'm getting a lot of questions on the chat. I'll be sure to answer them when I'm done. Okay. So you can go quickly at this point because We're almost at the end. Okay, when you put on the cheese, put it in the very middle, like this, and then slide it out. Okay, and the cheese will all burn away. As my good teacher at one of the restaurants said, it turns out I didn't stay there, but he said, if you put a lot of pizza cheese on it, it will all burn off, so don't add a lot. So you want to add just a little bit, making sure that it's, he said snow it. So it was always snowing or raining in Washington State, and it was in Shoreline, actually right near where my mother lived rather. Now, if you drop any, you kind of want to put it back on because it will burn, and it won't be there. It'll just burn it will burn your pan. Okay, we're getting close. Now, what we're gonna do, just start putting stuff on. So we're starting with the peppers. These are red bell peppers. Now, like I said, if this is all mixed up, it doesn't matter because when you put it on the pizza, you can't really tell. You can't see the difference if it's been mixed. So you could almost make a mixture of this and keep it in your refrigerator. And then when you want to make pizza, these are the mushrooms. When you want to make your pizza, you could just pull out a tray with all these ingredients on it. You can prepare all this in advance. If anything falls off, you'll want to put it back on. Now, you could see, it's hard to see, but I'm going to be grabbing the garlic, which is mixed with the onions. Okay, we're almost done, guys. Thanks for hanging in there. I like lots of onions. Now, when I put meat on a pizza, you could put pepperoni or whatever you want, but it usually doesn't really add that much to it. And for anybody that wants to eat healthy, you can just make these vegetable pizzas, which are really, really good. I have seen these on the internet being sold in New York that's similar to this, but I have not seen this exact pizza. Okay, and then the final thing is you want to put the thyme or anything that's a delicate vegetable underneath the tomatoes. And again, you can see that if something falls, I put it right back on. Okay, we are good. We are good to go. Now, I love onions. You could make these for kids because when you cut them sideways, they make really easy slices. Now, you think that's a lot of stuff, but it's actually not that much because it all burns and then gets flat. Okay, I could hear people upstairs. Okay, so the last thing you want to do is put on tomatoes. Now, if you have spinach, you can put it on, but the spinach in Asia is very expensive. And you want to lay these out like this. Now, some people like to take the skin off, but I like the skin. And these tomatoes are very succulent because I am in, again, Asia. Okay, now you think it's done, right? But I like to put some of these on top. They're gonna burn. Anything on top is gonna burn. That's why the tomatoes go on last. Oh, I forgot. I forgot. You're supposed to salt it. So you're supposed to salt the bottom layer. We're gonna go ahead and salt it on top. Now, you think it's a lot of salt, so don't add too much, but usually what you should do is add the salt and the pepper on the bottom. Pizzas have, oh, and I also forgot, I forgot this cheese, but I really shouldn't use it, so we're just gonna add just a tiny bit. I'm trying to get rid of this cheese because I bought it for my birthday party, which is kind of gross cheese, but you'll see how it looks. Maybe I should do one of them with it and one of them without. And the cheese will actually, I would normally put this on the bottom layer, but we're gonna see how this looks when it comes out. And it says cooking and baking cheese. And I never use this kind of cheese, but I just don't want to throw it away and it lasts forever. Okay, put some there, put some there. Boy, that reminds me of my childhood. Okay, we are all ready to go. Last thing you want to do is pepper it. And as you can see, like that. When you're finally done with this, you should have your oven turned on. Your oven should be on for 1 hour beforehand. Why? Because it needs to be at a very, very high heat. In some ovens, in some restaurants, the oven is at 1,000 degrees, and that's a traditional pizza oven. Okay, so there we go. Let's get a nice view of it here. So here it is. There's 2 of them on here, and we are ready to go. Now, if you don't have your oven on, these sit for a little bit. They're gonna actually puff up, and we're ready to go. Okay, so the next time I see you, we will be putting it into an oven. Okay, so we're almost ready to start cooking this, but I wanted to show you the secret to cooking pizza. So the secret to cooking pizza is that you want to take a bottle like this with olive oil, and you're going to pour just drip just a tiny bit around the edge, and you're going to do it once before it goes in, and you see how it looks. You do it before it goes in, and I had people that would put it on the middle too, like this, but I usually don't do that. So do you see how otherwise the edges will not be like that one? See how that didn't get it? So you want to just put a little bit. This is actually the secret to making Italian pizza, and you only need a tiny little bit. So as you can see, that will all spread. Okay, let's do it. So you want to take it this way, and as you see, this is my Airbnb, which is really cool. Thank you, Maurice. Okay, I have to put that down for a second. So we're gonna go out here, and what do I have? I have the oven that has been on for over an hour. And shh, don't tell anyone I'm cooking pizza out here. So what you're gonna do is you open it up, make sure this is out of the way. As you can see, I'm in Asia. You're gonna go like this. Oh, it's so hot. So it's on high right now. You're gonna put it in the middle. Yeah, you can put it in the center. Now people use a stone and all other kinds of things. We're not going to do that. We're just going to cook it this way. Okay, then once you put it in, close it. There it is there. I used to do this in Austin. I didn't have an oven like this. And then what you're going to do, you can see we're on Celsius. So you're going to bring it down to 200 Celsius. And don't ask me what that is, just figure it out. Okay. There we go. So it's on 200 Celsius. Just look it up, and there it is. Okay, we'll see you in. Okay, I'm getting a lot of questions in the chat about how do you know when it's done. Well, do not take it out early. When the breading on it, you can see how much it's puffed up. When the breading on it becomes burnt, it'll look burnt almost, and you'll see the edge of it. You want to make sure it's cooked fully. So you can see the tomatoes aren't quite cooked there, and what you do is you can smell it. So if you look closely, you can see the tomatoes aren't really cooked, and the edges are just starting to toast. And so let's take a look and tell you what the secret is. Okay, here's the secret to making good pizza. When it comes out, you're going to want to use the oil again and just put it right around the edge. Now, when I worked in a pizza place, they always said, "David, you forgot." I said, "Yes, I did. I forgot." Okay, and then there's one more trick here. The trick is to keep a little bit of the cheese. This is a trick that they use in pizza houses. Oh, and also don't just put it on the counter. And then, so you want to add just a tiny bit more of the cheese when it comes out. Boy, that has a lot of cheese on it. That looks so good. That looks so good. And there's not much cheese in here, but we're going to go ahead and add cheese to the top. Now, you want this to cool, like really, really cool. If you have any other vegetables like basil, you can put it on now and it will actually cook it. And that's it. Look at that. Okay, this pizza is dedicated to my daughter, Miana Smith. If you want to learn how to cook this, please, oh, there's a little bit of the cheese coming off. I usually push it back on. Ow, it's hot. Boy, is that good. So sometimes the cheese will come off. What you do is don't use your finger like I did. Just do it this way. Put it back on. This way. There it is. Oh boy, that looks good. Now, you're going to want this to cool for a long time because it will burn people's mouth. It will burn everybody's mouth. Look at that. So Fritz, if you want to come over, you can have a piece of pizza, and that is how you make homemade pizza. Now this took over 2 hours to make, but it was well worth it. And if you're at home and you're a home mom or a home dad, it's worth it because this will feed 4 people. Unless they're really hungry. Here's something I'm going to show you. The bottom. Oh, that's look at the holes in it. That's perfect. Okay, you're going to want to let it cool. It's going to cool up to 15 minutes, and you can already see the cheese has melted, the extra cheese. And this is a vegetable pizza. If you have digestion problems, I won't mention my daughter Miana. But if you have any digestion problems, this will be really good to eat because it is very healthy. Let's get a close-up here. Wow. And you can see the tomatoes. That's how you know it's done when you're cooking it, that the tomatoes will start to curl. Check the other one. And that's it. Well, thank you for joining me for this edition of Heavy Metal Cooking. I've really enjoyed making pizza for many, many years, and I hope you enjoyed too. If you've stayed throughout the whole video, thank you. I appreciate it. Please hit the subscribe button and the upvote, and I'll see you next time. AxeMan signing out for heavy metal cooking.